Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Bull. Another great episode. In this episode, we had the client they ended up getting is this lady named Dr. Allen. Basically, she was caught with what is essentially marijuana oil, essentially, without the kind of like side effects that marijuana would have, but it's meant to just be kind of like a pain reliever, and basically she was using it as treatment for not only her patients that she had, but also her son who's got leukemia, which that whole thing turns into a whole thing because it's like, well, she's administering it to a minor, and it's like, you're not supposed to do that, but it's and that's what I think this episode does, and I think it's something the show does well, is they show you the gray area to it. It's like clear cut. It's like, yes, she violated the law. And it's even something they kind of bring up in the episode. Like Benny does in particular. It's like, even though she broke the law, it's like the fact of the matter is it's the law one place. Because like in New York, you can purchase it without being an issue. But she was in Virginia when she got it. And you have to know the thing is you have to be like a New York resident to buy it. And so that turned into a whole thing. And that's an argument he made because it's like, well, how can you be the law isn't so clear cut and dry? Because the fact of the matter is, if it was, the laws would be unanimous all across the place, but different states have different, laws like, New York might be in the minority in this situation or, the majority, either way the case may be. It's just kind of like, you have to think about the fact is of why she did what she did, and that was just because she was trying to do the best thing that she could. Like the doctor in this episode, who is I'm blanking on it. Is it Ellison? He's the actor who played Karen's boss in Daredevil and in Punisher. It's like, oh, dude. So he told the story about his mom and like another doctor kind of administered morphine. Too much, you could potentially hurt the person. Just right, obviously, it can relieve pain. And it did what it was supposed to for like 2 years. But ultimately, his mom died. But she died with a smile on her face. Well, did he give her too much? The other doctor? But he doesn't know. Who knows? But what matters to him is that she died with a smile on her face. That he gave her some semblance of peace. That basically gave her what she needed, is mercy. And that's something that, with these type of situations, it's not calculated into the whole, like, it's not accounted in the law. It's like, that's something you have to think about. Like, this person is in pain and they're in suffering. And if you can do whatever you can to ease their pain, no matter what the law says, like, even though you're only supposed to do, as the example Benny was saying, it's like, oh, the law, everything is saying that you should only do X, but you want to do Y because you know Y is the right move to make. So what do? And once again, it's that gray area of like, even the doctor himself says he wishes that he had enough courage to, if he was in the same situation as Laura, that he had the amount of courage it took for her to do what she did. That even though she was breaking the law, it's because she had no choice to do what she needed to do her duty as not only as a doctor to take care of her patients, but as a mother to do whatever it takes to save her and make things easier for her son, especially like hearing that story. It doesn't seem like she had to tell it, but that was something Bull was kind of like, I know you want to keep that because that's something private, because that's something for you and your son. But when it comes down to it, that might have to be something you need to say, in your final hour. Like if it means defending yourself, that might be our last line of defense, is you telling that story of just how like her son was just too weak to even get up most days. But after giving him just a little bit of that oil, it was just kind of like he stopped throwing up. He had energy again. Yes, it's still a long road ahead, but it made the hugest difference to his life, that he could actually live his life instead of just laying in a bed waiting to die, So it's just sad circumstances all around. And that, I mean, it's like, it's a very complicated situation because it's kind of like, it's kind of sad too because her son Nicholas ran away because he heard the words chemo and he was going to run because just how much of a strain that puts on the body, and it scared him. Because interestingly, like she'd even told that story of like him putting a plastic bag over his head, and she's like, I knew what he was trying to do. She's like, I don't know where he got that idea from. He's never told me. And it's like, to that extent, because just what that was all putting him through, he was willing to do that. So, I mean, and that's so heartbreaking, just even from an outside perspective, that's heartbreaking. But I can't even imagine that as, Laura, as seeing your little bundle of joy doing that. It's got to be terrifying. Like I said, I can only imagine. That feeling. And that's kind of what motivated her even more to do what she did. Just seeing, so like I said, she never got to the point. I mean, at least within the context of the episode, it might have been something that was kind of like not included, but it didn't seem like she actually had to tell that story. So that is still something that's hers and her son's. So the sad thing is, like, when her son went, going back to it, her son went missing. I was actually terrified because I was like, oh my God, like the way the camera was when she was in the car, I was like, no, 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 no. It's most like, don't tell me you kidnapped your son, you're trying to run. Please don't run. You're just going to make matters worse. But it's like, no, her son did just legitimately run away. I was like, thank goodness. Not that he ran away, because that was scary and that sucked. But I was legitimately scared that she had like kidnapped. And I thought the whole story she was telling was fabricated, because the doctor was like, oh yeah, looking at everything's good. I was like, did she do something in that time? Like, was she having him lie? But it's like, no. That was me being super pessimistic and just scared and worried. But it's like, no, everything, and I wouldn't have faulted her for it. It's because it's like, you're a good mother. You're trying to do everything. Child services is trying to take your son away from you because it's like, oh, you're not giving him the treatment he needs, like chemo, but you're also doing something illegal, giving him this medicine that, as a minor he shouldn't have. But still. But what I also appreciated was kind of interesting is, and is it, who is the, United, assistant United States attorney, the federal prosecutor lady, Sylvia, like, is that the same lady from Body of Proof? Is that the same actress? It seemed like that might be her, because like that actress looks so familiar. I think that might be her, but I'm not 100% sure. But I thought it was kind of interesting with Sylvia's character, because Bull was like, oh, okay, so like, when it's all said and done, it's like, how about, we drop the charges? And it's like, yeah, she gets on probation for 4 years, but she can still fight to keep her medical license. And then Sylvia was like, no. I was like, wait, what? She's like, no. I'm like, I was like, why are you being kind of an asshole? But she kind of brings up an interesting point, because for her, it's like, it's not about me and you. What it comes down to is the system. We do our job. I do my job. You do your job. And that basically the system will set everything out. Like, it's not our decision. It's not our choice to make. All we can do is to do things the best of our ability, just like Laura did. And it's up to the court and the system to decide whether or not where this kind of falls, so. And when it was all said and done, she kind of walked away, not even being mad about it. She's like, see, everything was kind of supposed to be the way it played out, the way it was supposed to. Justice is served. Because for her, it's like, yes, we might not always 100% agree with the law, because even she admits, like, none of her, the reason why she took this case is because none of her colleagues wanted to take it, because they all were sympathetic to her. Even Sylvia herself was like, yeah, even I understand where she's coming from. It's kind of interesting too, because they had a whole conversation, because Bull brought it up to her. It's like, well, do you have a kid? Trying to make her more sympathetic. But it's like, really? You think just something as juvenile as being like, oh, if I had a kid, because I don't have a kid, I don't understand what she's going through. It's like, have you ever had a kid? And he's like, for a little bit, kind of. I let that slip my mind. It's like, right, Bull and his ex-wife Isabella, like, I forgot, like, that's why things kind of fell apart between them, because the moment their child died, like, it just kind of a rift between them. It just wasn't easy to kind of come back from it. And I was like, I'd completely forgotten about that being like one of the main reasons why things kind of fell apart for them. It just kind of a contribute, like, I'm sure afterwards stuff just stacked upon it. It was just hard on both of them. But even Benny at the end was kind of like, oh, that lady, she's kind of like saying like, oh, she's kind of a hard ass. And even I would admit, like, everything she did during the case was her being a hard ass. But at the same time, it's like, she does care. Like, the reason why she went to the bar and everything wasn't because she was losing the case, because she actually felt bad. It's just kind of like it was wearing down on her, because like, it is that situation of what is your opinion. And that was kind of something Benny was getting at. It's like, at the kind of going back to what I was bringing up earlier about the whole laws and everything, like, your opinions do matter, like, because even the laws can't 100% agree, because they are different from state to state. So your opinion in this matter does matter, because it's ultimately you who kind of guide whether it's like, well, Laura was in the wrong in this case because she broke the law, but at the same time, it's like, well, not every, like, it's just because it's what's legal in one place is illegal in another. And it's something interesting when it's something you don't even think about. It's just like, something that is legal in one other place might not be. Like, something as simple as like, oh, being able to turn on red under certain circumstances, might be illegal in certain states, but fine in others. Which, yes, that's apples to oranges, I know. Probably more like, oranges to watermelons, because it's like a big, but you get what I'm trying to like say. It's just kind of an interesting aspect to kind of think about. No one else really saw that side of her, but like that her not being kind of the quote unquote asshole that, you know, you would think she kind of was, kind of being a hard ass, like, oh, she's going to take this case, she's going to take this mom down. Like, legitimately, she was just doing her job because it's her oath. She took an oath to do her job to the best of her ability. And it's like, if she doesn't do that, then it's like she's undermining the entire system if she doesn't do what she's supposed to do, you know? No matter how she feels about it, she still has a job to do and a responsibility, you know? So I won't lie to you. It's one of those situations where, because I do know that some of these episodes do end with guilty. It doesn't happen a lot, but there are cases that they lose, or at least there's guilty aspects on some parts. So even I was kind of holding my breath, like, please no, not guilty, please not guilty, please not guilty. And it's like, not guilty. I'm like, yes, just because there are those moments. And I think that the show can, even though, like I said, because the show does kind of get you, like, yeah, there are some guilty parts in the show. So, you know, the jury finding people guilty. So I also thought it was kind of interesting, kind of going back to the case itself. When it came to the jury, like Bull, you know, Benny asked a certain question to that clerk who works at courthouse, and then they're like, oh, we accept this juror. Sylvia comes behind him, asks a different question where it's kind of basically like, oh yeah, like, no matter what happens, when someone breaks the law, they break the law. It's like, right, no matter what point in time you get there, she's like, right, the law is the law. So it was kind of interesting seeing that same juror kind of be kind of swept to kind of be like, oh, even though you think this juror's on your side, I put things in a different perspective. And now it's like, oh yeah, the juror would kind of lean more towards my direction, and kind of making you aware of that. And I just thought that was kind of an interesting perspective that's never really shown before. Like I said, these little things here and there that they kind of like splice in and kind of make, you know, obviously each case a little bit different than the cases before them, you know. I also appreciate that little moment where Bull was driving her back, or getting, you know, they were getting driven back to her place, and she's like, you didn't have to do this. He's like, well, it's on the way. She's like, no, it's not. Benny told me where you live. Like, this is in the complete wrong direction. And he's like, oh, there's bars nearby. So I was curious to know where that whole drinking thing was going to go. Like, I guess she just wanted to show him her gratitude for like everything he's doing, helping her and everything. Because she's like, oh, you know, she'll try and fix him a drink or something. So it's kind of a nice. It's also interesting too, because I don't remember this ever coming up even last season about Benny's mom. Because the reason why they know each other is like Laura's mom and Benny's mom used to actually work together. And it's how they just talk about the fact is that Benny's mom is gone. It's like, oh yeah, like she recently visited, Laura's mom recently visited Benny's mom's grave, which is like, I don't think that ever came up, even when like Isabella popped up in the story. So that was kind of interesting to learn. I mean, we don't really know too much about the group's like family situation. Like, we know a little bit about Bull's dad, which he didn't, right? I was about to say his dad didn't pop up last season. Like his dad came up in conversations quite a bit, but his dad's never popped up. At least not yet. Who's to say? I mean, there's still a couple episodes left this season, so there could be something that kind of pops up about his dad. But it's kind of like, yeah, him and his dad are not on good terms. Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly, he didn't ever meet his dad. Never popped up last season, I don't think. But you've gotten little peeks into everyone's family a little bit. We've heard talk about Cables, we've never actually seen them. Chunk, we've seen, well, obviously Anna and her mom. That's about it. I haven't seen any of Danny's or Marissa's, so. And obviously we've seen a little bit of Benny's, obviously, because of Isabella, but also kind of plays a role in seeing a little bit of Bull's too. So it's just kind of interesting that, you know, I mean, and that's something I always wonder about that too, because family type of situations, like, it seems like those aren't always written in the stories. And I guess that's just because it's like, well, we don't know what we do with them, because it's like, we want them to kind of be vague and just like out there. We could do something with them if the time came and we felt like doing something, telling a good story with them. Till then, it's just kind of let them stay vague, like blurry images in the background, essentially, you know. So it's just kind of interesting. But learning that little bit about his mom, I'm wondering what under what circumstances. I wonder, was it? I don't think they explained exactly under what circumstances she died, whether it's just kind of natural causes or whether it's because she was sick. Because the church did a lot of like, oh yeah, let's pray for this person who's sick. So I don't know if that was just kind of like supposed to kind of imply that, just because of that happening and just the whole conversation of his mom coming up. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it. And they might have said, but maybe I missed it. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.